As the midfielder, Adel Koldakaj, approached, he stumbled across a small object that he thought could injure a fellow player. But as he dropped it, kaboom! It turned out to be a homemade grenade. Had he held back a few seconds later than he did, he could have lost his whole entire arm. To date, it's still a bit vague how and why a grenade made it onto the pitch, but it definitely was a close call for the players and the officials. Just see how they ran.
You don't have to be a professional sports star to score such precise shots from behind. You can be a regular school coach. The most important thing is to have a group of supporters. And the driver of this car must have forgotten to turn off the iron at home. The Chinese man was going to work when a huge construction crane fell down, destroying his Audi. But the driver was clearly blessed at birth, walking away from this incident with an ankle injury. This skydiver had a seizure and he is heading for his demise. But look what happens. The author of this video manages to catch him and get him the help he needs. Unfortunately, you can't see the facial expressions of the boaters who nearly had a plane crash into them. To stay alive and to capture such footage, that's double the amount of luck. This tire fitting was assisted by a big explosion. It seems that these men were planning to use this shocking method to take off the wheel, completely disregarding safety procedures. These mountaineers stayed alive. The boulder went by just millimeters away from them. And now you can see an SUV stuck on the train tracks and not able to move. He was able to get some assistance, and look what happens. In this case, the pilot made a huge mistake. At one point, the plane turns 180 degrees and flies right towards this tandem. Both the skydivers and the pilot were very lucky, and the plane didn't actually get them. Check it out. First, an avalanche of dirt descends on this car, and a second later, a huge rock is flying down. A massive boulder nearly injured the passengers during a 6.1 magnitude earthquake in Taroko Gorge, Taiwan. Just imagine what would have happened if the driver didn't stop for a few seconds. A pedestrian that managed to run away from a car and a bus can totally run a marathon. A man in this video also managed to escape a car flying towards him. And here you can see a car drifting along a slippery road, and it stops just millimeters away from crashing. There are cases when an out-of-control vehicle goes by way too close to a person. That's what happened in this 5-vehicle road collision. The lucky man dodges death at a gas station. Reckless skaters had a near-death experience, nearly being hit by an oncoming car and nearly crashing into cyclists on the left. To fall into the dirt face first is a great way to save yourself from a plane that's trying to land on you. Sometimes a few inches definitely makes a difference. From behind. These fishermen saw motorboats speeding towards them. It's worth noting that the motorboat driver was charged with reckless operation of a boat and using a cell phone while driving. We wonder what he was looking at. This biker casually rides along in his lane, and suddenly, that should definitely be considered his second birthday. When it's raining or snowing, we usually put our hood up and grab an umbrella. But what do you do when it's raining printers? The man in this video is no less lucky. It's best not to mess around with a bullet train going at full speed, although there are plenty of jokers. Spotting the train, this rule breaker jumps over the barrier and runs across, barely avoiding the wheels of the train. You probably remember the spectacular scenes from the Matrix movie. Turns out, Neo has competition. This girl on a bike, it appears, was born under a lucky star, which we can't say about the careless driver. His reckoning has come. Better get out of there, dude. And what have you got to say about this kind of luck? It's definitely like success times 4, or maybe even magic.
Magic.
This guy just saved the party.
Michi!
Das ist kaputt.
Ich hab's auf Video!
Sometimes a stunt doesn't go the way it should. Just imagine what would have happened to the guy if he didn't catch the girl. We don't even know which one of them is luckier. It's unclear why this girl only looked right before crossing train tracks. After all, there's a train approaching from the left. It looks like only people with steel nerves can work as train drivers.
Hey everybody! Look at me! I'm so fucking cool!
We're not sure if this guy rolled into the jump on purpose or by accident. It's a good job his parachute worked. And now, incredible diving skills from an awesome and very lucky Gary Hunt. This professional diver did 3 somersaults and 4.5 twists free-falling in front of 70,000 fans. No belts, just luck. At the height of 2,100 meters, 6,890 feet, skydiver Paul Steiner leaves the cockpit and walks along a wing. Then he moves from one plane onto another and touches the second plane with his hand. And now you can see an adrenaline junkie climbing across a wing of a plane. It's hard to contend with the wind, but he continues to crawl. Finally, he reaches his goal. Alas, his triumph was short-lived. It's a good job he brought a parachute. There's a daredevil in the Russian metro. After he ties his shoe, he waits for the perfect moment when a train pulls into the station, runs, and somersaults right in front of the speeding train as the operator sounds